All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lavicast. How's everyone doing today?
Hey, fine.
Good.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Cool. All right. So today we're going to be discussing the newest video game movie to hit our shores, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. So we were talking a little bit earlier, and we thought it'd be a good idea to just like give our own thoughts, give our own experiences with Super Mario Bros. Before coming into the film. Especially since we're a bunch of Sonic fans, and that might come off a little bit. We might seem like a little bit biased, so we want to try to show, like, yeah, no, we have our own connection with Mario to a certain extent as well. So, Derp, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, try and make this as short as I can. Growing up, I used to be a Mario kid, which sounds weird considering I'm now like a Sonic fan. But not to say I wasn't a Sonic fan growing up, but like for every one Sonic plush I had 2 or 3 Mario ones more. I don't have those anymore because I grew out of Mario. But when growing up, like Super Mario, the game, the new Super Mario Bros. DS used to be my favorite game, and then it was the Wii New Super Mario Bros. Game that I used to play religiously with my family. Which was always chaotic. And I'd watch the Deke cartoons along with the Super Show, which is the one with the live action segments, right? Like all that is nostalgic for me. I can't watch it anymore because it's a little bit too cheesy and a little bit too cringe, but I have a soft spot for it, and it's weird. How I went from being a bit of a Mario fanboy to now a Sonic fanboy. But I've always kind of had like a connection to Mario still. Like I've watched Let's Plays of the games since. I've watched like reviews of games I've never played. So I've kind of got like a pretty good idea of how fans feel towards some games and others. At least like a good consensus. And recently I watched the original live action Mario movie.
Hold up,
Twice.
We'll get to that.
I'm just going through like my thing.
Okay.
Like I've seen it twice in preparation for this, and I've also seen this movie, and that's my personal history of Mario. Waffles, do you want to go next?
Sure. So there's a YouTuber called Some Call Me Johnny, and sometimes he talks about Mario, and I enjoy those videos. The end.
Perfect.
That's where most of my review watching came from.
I played Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, but I played them back when like my brain was a rotted child and they left no impression other than these were fun. And then I went on to play like Jack and Daxter or something, and he was like, damn, not here. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. So, no, I don't really have too much of a connection to Mario. I know what he is and who he is. He's one to me, Mario was always just one of those franchises where for Christmas, one of the family members who didn't know what to get me but knew I liked video games would be like, we'll get Ian the Mario Bowser collection. And then I put it in my Game Boy and I play it that evening at Christmas, and then I never touch it again. So, or, we had the Wii and it's like, oh, we need to get a game for the family. And so my siblings want to play a game. Well, I ain't playing the games I like with them, so we'll play Mario on the Wii, and then we play that for a little bit. So I don't really have a connection to Mario, but I mean, his games are fun. They work. So that's my connection to Mario.
All right. I'll go next here. So I'm probably somewhere along the same lines as Waffles when it comes to my connection, as I do remember the first game I ever got for the Game Boy was Super Mario Brothers. And when I got it, I was like 4. So I got 4. So I would able to play in it, and I got through like the first 2 levels. But then when I got to like the third level, it was like the cave level, I had no hand-eye coordination. I couldn't even complete it. So I just put the game down after that. I didn't really touch Mario again until I was like in high school, when my mom got me Nintendo DS and got me Super Mario Bros. For the DS, and that was like the first game I ever 100%ed. So I've never been like a hardcore or really that interested in Mario for the most part. I usually would get a couple of games when they end up coming out. Like I did get Mario Sunshine when it first came out, but I couldn't play it because I couldn't play it for too long because for some reason if I played it for more than an hour I started smelling pecans, so I just never really got around to playing it again. And the last game I ended up touching with Mario was Mario Odyssey, which was pretty fun. So I've never really been like a hardcore fan of the franchise except for one character, and we'll get to that later. But for the most part, I've been more or less like just a casual person into the franchise. All right. Oh, KrazyElf, tell us your experiences with the Mario franchise.
I've seen the movies. And I played a couple of games. Extremely briefly. Because, Mario was never popular in here where I'm from. Like, you guys on the West think like, oh, Mario is like so popular, it's everywhere. In here, people just can't afford Nintendo stuff. And a lot of people would look at it and be like, why? It looked like Nintendo Switch? What is that? Like, it's worse than a PlayStation. Why? But it costs about the same. Why can't I just get a PlayStation? I just would get the best graphics and everything. Back when Mario was getting all the popularity, well, it were the 90s. And yeah, I grew up in poverty. We just couldn't afford it. And Nintendo still isn't affordable in here. I remember playing like extremely vaguely some of the early Mario games on a NES bootleg Chinese console that just fucking died. And then I played a little bit of Super Mario Bros. On Wii. I didn't like it.
So you're like the anti-establishment Mario fan. It's like we didn't play Mario because that was for the Buku big boys, but when we did, we stole that motherfucker. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but we could only steal like the very old, like like people in here. Like I'm sure, like if Mario movie came out in here, people would be like, "Wait, Mario is still around? Wait, is Mario still coming out? Are you kidding me?"
And then they're like, "Ugh, man, if only Sonic got a movie."
Yeah.
Well, actually, one of the Sonic movies actually managed to come out in here.
Hey, there you go. See, Sega does what Nintendo don't, as always.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And to wrap back around a little bit to what you were saying earlier about like Mario's so popular here, it's kind of eerie because I don't like, in contrast to like every other franchise, like Pokemon, Sonic, or like hell, Game of Thrones. I don't really know of anyone who's like a hardcore Mario fan. It's really just more like it's so omnipresent. Everyone plays it, but it's so the default. It doesn't really have like a hardcore. It doesn't really seem like to have a hardcore fan base. Like every artist who I've ever followed has drawn like a Mario character at one point. But I wouldn't really qualify any of them as like Mario fans because none of them like draw or dedicate their entire brand to like focusing on something with this franchise. Like
loving Mario is like more of an extension of loving Nintendo, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the price of being really safe? Because I think about Disney, and a lot of people are just like, yeah, no, Mickey's a character, but like I feel like most people, when they talk about like one of their like IPs, I think there's like a strong love and connection to like Epic Mickey, how it's so different from like the established like Disney thing. Like it went a darker kind of route. And Kingdom Hearts, how it's just anime with Disney characters. Do you think it's like the price of Nintendo being generally just very safe and just like safe with the IP, do you think?
Honestly, I do think that could be it a little bit because Mario, for the most part, like almost all of their games like are pretty much critically adored, or at the very least are seen as pretty functional. You don't really hear about any major glitches or anything like insane. And when it comes to like the content in them, like, yeah, they might do something a little bit more fantastical, but they never try to do anything that's just like, whoa, they went for something that crazy. They went something that insane. Like the last time I think they did anything like unexpected was probably Paper Mario when they end up when spoilers, they killed off two really important characters. Like that's probably the last time they did anything that was like remotely off the wall. Like
I feel like that might just be the exception with the Mario verse, I guess, where the RPG games are the only ones where I think people are most passionate, and well, not to say people aren't passionate of like the other stuff, but I feel like that's when the most outward spoken discourse and conversation occurs with the RPG series, where it gets a little bit Sonic toxicity, where people are like, Gino, gotta get some Gino rep, like that kind of thing. Might be. I feel like that side of the Mario franchise could just be the only exception, whereas the rest of it might be just a little bit too straightforward and surface level. That people, I mean, what's there to say? It's Mario. It's safe. It's gonna be good, and there's not really a story. Just it's the Wahoo guy, and that's all it is. And 8 out of 10.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, and okay, so honestly, I think that's probably like the best place where you can just start going into this movie, because if there is one thing that I can absolutely say about this film is that it does, at least aesthetically, try to stay incredibly on brand. It is just trying to be incredibly safe when it comes to like everything with the designs, when it comes to the world. Everything here is trying to be as close to what you recognize as to a Mario game as possible. And on top of that, the one big concern people have with this film was like, oh, they're getting all these celebrity voice actors. Are they going to be distracting? Are they going to be able to pull off the role? And you guys can tell me what you think, but I actually think pretty much everyone here did exactly what they needed to do for their roles and the actors did a good job. Like no one was really that noticeable. You guys?
Yeah, I agree. The VAs are just nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm happy with. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no, like I'm happy with like basically everyone. The only one I have any issues with is whoever voiced Cranky Kong, because I guess I forgot to mention this, but technically it's like not Mario so much, so like a connected thing. But I recently watched Donkey Kong Country, the cartoon, I think last year, and after binging that, which is unironically good, although the second season has some pretty ugly animation. Cranky Kong's voice in that is so good, and having to go from that to whatever this thing was, like, I miss Donkey Kong Country's voice, the Cranky voice so much. But I was shocked. Whoever did the trailer stuff, they did Chris Pratt so dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was weird how much they just almost avoided showing Mario talking at all. It just like fed into like, oh, is he gonna be bad? Is he gonna be bad? It's like, no, he's fine. There's a really stupid joke that they do with Mario's original voice actor at the beginning, which I find annoying. But putting that to the side, I think Chris Pratt did a good job. Charlie Day did a good job as Luigi. Jack Black obviously did a great job as Mario.
He killed it. Jack Black supremacy. Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes.
But if I have to give anyone credit, it would be Jordan Michael Key. Jordan Michael Key, who ends up playing Toad. You cannot tell that. Like I think I'm probably the only one here who's watched Key and Peele. You cannot tell that's him.
Yeah,
like,
I couldn't.
Like I even showed when I was after I ended up me and KrazyElf ended up watching Keegan Michael Key. We ended up watching a clip from the original Key and Peele show. KrazyElf couldn't even tell that was him.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay. So yeah, I think the voice actors did a fantastic job. It's really on brand, and the aesthetic is really on brand. Anyone else got any more positives?
It kind of looks nice.
The music, the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack.
And I'm talking about the original score, not the Hollywood
thank God.
Rex.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can just go and rip this Band-Aid off. We haven't talked about our thoughts in depth when it comes to this film, at least not all four of us together, but I think we can all confidently say this movie is garbage.
Well,
Like,
it's an elimination movie, mate. What do you expect?
I wouldn't say garbage. I would just say it's a hot mess.
uh-huh.
It's
What's the difference?
It's a good adaptation of a video game, but it's not a good movie.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna
Yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah.
I felt
sort of
this,
like
this
here's the thing.
feels-
This is something I was
feels-
alluding to earlier. I think they do they are clearly trying so hard to make sure that everything with the aesthetic for this film matches up with what you expect from the games.
This
problem
feels
here,
like a bunch of cutscenes strung together without the through line of the plot and characterization and build
Right.
up and all the stuff.
right? But the reason why I still would end up criticizing, I don't think it's a good job as a video game adaptation, is because when you're trying to adapt something from a video game, the last thing you should do is a 1-to-1. The first thing you should always try doing is making sure when you're taking those mechanics, you try to make sure that it makes sense outside of the video game mechanics. It's like when it comes to like all the courses or the pipes or like those moving platforms without bars, those don't make any kind of sense.
It's like they took Subspace Emissary and then removed all of the gameplay parts. So you just watch one big mover, but you're like, okay, so like, how did we get here and why is this happening? and yeah, you're talking about all like the world building elements, and I don't care who you are. You are like a 30-year-old fan. You probably love the Mario RPGs. Don't give me any shit that you don't care about characterization and world building and story. I don't want to hear your "it's made for kids" excuse. You love Mario. Shut up. Where is the I want world building in my movie. I want character. I want deep. I don't want deep, but I want some amount of good characterization. Not like really painful surface level stuff that I don't even know what motives are. Like, what is Toad's deal? Anyway, we'll get to that later, probably.
Yeah, let's just jump into it because I'm glad you brought up the kids thing because
I want to rant about the power blocks later.
Hey, we're still talking the video game mechanics. Go for it. This is the best time to do it. Do it.
Okay. Oh yeah, you know, fine. The power blocks in the Mario games work as like such. You are small, you hit it, you get the power up to go big, you hit it again, the next one, and you get another power up that's better. In the movie, they all of these blocks are just floating, and they can't they don't have rules for them. So like in one scene they're floating and the character hits it and then it like goes non-hit, but then they hit it again, so it's infinite use, I guess. And I'm just sat here like, wait a minute, hold on. Mario can hold the mushroom. Why doesn't he just put that in his pocket and use it later? Because in the games, when the character touches the power up, he uses it automatically. But in the movie, Mario is holding it in his hand, so he could carry that around forever.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm glad you brought up the power-ups because that's what I'm talking about when it comes to being
the power-up block. In the later scenes, there was Koopas picking up the power block and carrying it around. So I'm sorry, that's literally a portable weapon dispenser.
Yeah.
Why aren't people carrying power blocks around? That's OP as fuck.
But here's the thing: simultaneously, the powers are kind of the power system is also kind of bullshit too. Like this is the other half of the reason why I was talking about this not being a good video game adaptation. Because if this is supposed to be a real functional world, what's the point of having a power up that if you get flicked once, you end up losing the ability? Like, what's the benefit of that?
Because it's in the games. It wasn't the games, lad.
Like that makes sense in the games in order to give for some type of power, some type of balance. But that makes no sense in what's supposed to be like a functioning, living, breathing world. Like that. Like fuck if just as a benefit, I don't get like there'd be no point in using that kind of thing. If just one flick, you end up losing it.
I remember when I first saw like the reviews coming out, and I don't mean like people reviews. I mean like critic reviews, and people were saying like, oh, it's like hard to understand, or it's just a bunch of like things happening and you just got to go along with it, like that kind of thing. And I totally get why people felt that, because they don't really explain any of the things that do happen. It's just like, yeah, he hits the block and then he eats the mushroom and that just makes him go big. And it's like it's fan friendly, but if you're not a fan of the franchise, you're left out of it. And it's like scenes where they eat the blue mushroom, and it's like, oh, that makes him small, and the fans would know that ahead, but like people who don't play will just have to assume that the blue mushroom from the beginning is connected to that, I guess. Even though they don't really spend any more time on it than like 2 seconds.
Right.
And it's like, I think people are like, I think Sonic fans are scared to like compare this to the, like the Sonic movie, because they feel inferior now that they've seen like how Illumination mostly did I'd say good job, even though as a movie format this kind of failed a bit. But like the way the Sonic second movie, both like the Sonic movies were able to recontextualize elements from the games and give them lore for people to understand and be like, oh, so that's how it works and that's where it came from.
Yeah, we've created new mechanics, new rules.
Like the rings. Like they established these rings for like higher beings that can travel dimensions. That's how they work. And they tell you how they work. And while I would like a little bit more in further movies, I'm kind of happy with that a little so far. And then the second movie, for the Chaos Emeralds, they establish that these are powerful things. The Big Master Emerald. They establish it's a powerful rock that does this thing, and it was made long ago, and this is very important, so we'll get to it later. And then we find out what it does, because we don't question it because we had the setup for it. In this, we don't get any of that, so you're just like turning your brain off and going, oh, when you touch the flower, that makes him go fire, and when the blue flower, that makes her go ice, and when the star, they go invincible. I guess what Bowser said was literally invincible. Oh, I get it. It does the thing. You just go along with it, and it's not. It's just it's so surface level and it's stupid as a movie.
Yeah.
They don't explain it.
No, and you know what? That actually ends up being a good follow through, because not only do they not do a good job of making sure they explain how world mechanics work, they don't do a good job explaining how they don't do a good job having being able to explain how the characters work or how their motivations or personality is supposed to make any kind of sense. Which I think jumps into what I think is like the biggest problem with this series is that with this movie is that, save for Mario and Luigi, and that's only for like for a couple of reasons, everyone in this film is kind of awful, like more than they should be. And the one character who should be awful, they don't know how to balance that properly. So I kind of want to try talking about these 6 in particular over for how they work over the course of the film, because these 6 kind of just show like how everything with this film is just kind of a hot mess. But Waffles, you've been a little quiet a little bit. You got any thoughts about like the world building or mechanics for this film?
Not really. My main, I don't care. To me, the problem that I have with the movie is simply that all of the characters are dreadfully boring. Yeah. I find every single one of their personalities, besides Bowser, but I would give Bowser the credit of being as funny as a side character in a good film. Like, I don't even think he's that funny. Like, it's just that everyone else is that boring. And it's mostly because this film is pretty much like the epitome. Like, you know how like there's those challenges that go around on Twitter where it'll be like, describe your movie in like, the most like uncharitable or like most like basic way possible. So you might be like, something like that. This movie is like the living embodiment of that. Like it is literally just Mario. He does not give up. We establish a scene where we find out that he feels bad about people looking down on him. And then for the rest of the movie, he just does not give up. There's no like nuance to this. There's no like kind of charm or charisma to this. And at least for me, as far as I could tell, for Chris Pratt's performance, he's just being Mario. And Mario, like, if we take the example where he's training with Peach. All right, so he needs to overcome this obstacle course. The way he does this is that he just does not give up. But he does not give up in like a oh, he's getting the crap beat out of him and we really see it, but then he really like grits his teeth and he's like, no, I'm not going to give up because I got to save my brother or whatever. No, we just watch him fail, and then at the end, he's got it. Why did he get it? Because Mario doesn't give up. And that's it. And that's Mario's character. So like even at the basic level of what these characters are going for, they don't give you anything to latch on to. They don't give you a moment where it's like, this represents this character really like using something about their personalities. And that just makes them all dreadfully boring. Like people were talking about like, oh, is Peach a girl boss or whatever? It's like, I wish she was more of a girl boss, because all she is just competent. She just can do things, but she doesn't do anything exceptionally well. And she doesn't have a personality. The reason Peach is funny or fun is because she will kick your ass with like a baseball bat or like a golf club and smash, and then go tee-hee, and then like hit you with her butt, and then like an explosion of hearts will come out. Like Peach is competent. That's never not been a thing as far as like the way like the extended universe, like when she's not in like a Mario game or whatever as like the goal. People like Peach. People like Peach being cool. But the contrast is supposed to be that she's in a frilly pink dress and she's girly and she has fun. But now she's not even like a girl boss. She's just there.
That's what I found so funny. I was actually expecting for her to end up being a girl boss of the film, where her whole thing is that she's just be so overly confident to the point, competent and able to beat up and kick everyone's ass, and to the point that it just makes you wonder, why is Mario even here? But after that obstacle course scene, she is a non-factor. Like, they end up going over to try to recruit all the Kongs in order to go fight Bowser. She's basically a non-presence for most of that scene, other than just to have Mario to have someone to talk to. And when they end up getting to right before the third act, when they need to go fight, when Bowser's looking to come to the Mushroom Kingdom, she gets a spear ready. She's like, yeah, I'm going to go fight. And then should we spoil things? I feel like we should.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Yeah. Bowser.
It's an animation movie.
Bowser and his army end up holding Toad hostage. She gives up, and then
What makes that scene better, by the way, before you continue, is that right before that happens, Toad says, I won't let you get hurt. I'll stand by your side. I won't let you get hurt. And then he gets zappoed and electroshocked by the staff.
Yeah. Does he even have a line? Now that I'm thinking about that, does he have a line after that scene? I don't think he talks to the rest of the film.
No, he does. He conveniently is not locked up after that scene and is able to smuggle in an ice flower to give to Princess Peach.
Yeah. Because Jack Black says, well, you have my word, he's going to be safe. And I guess they just let him roam around everywhere because he said that.
Yeah.
I mean, another example I would go to is when Mario and Donkey Kong are having their Sonic and Knuckles on the beach moment.
Oh, yes. God. No. This one I gotta take because like I have a problem with all 6 of these characters, but if there's one character I wanted to punt and beat up so badly to the point that almost made me want to cut the movie off, it was Donkey Kong. Like, they were trying so hard to make him come off like he was supposed to be the rival to Mario, that he's just like, yeah, I want to beat I want to like trying to like have a whole competition with him in the second half of the film. But not only is he not Sonic, so he's not competing with Mario on anything, because Mario's just like, I want to save my brother, and then Donkey Kong just tries to insult him in every fucking way possible. When they do try having that come to the beach moment where they're trying to have like their own little heart-to-heart, he still can't turn off the douchebag and ends up insulting him. Like,
that scene just doesn't work anyway.
Yeah.
Because so like Donkey Kong's whole thing apparently in this scene is that he has daddy issues too, and Mario's like, you're just a dude who smashes things, and then Donkey Kong is like, I am more than a guy who smashes things. And I'm sorry, but like, dude, you haven't shown anything to like provide any form of build-up or like any hint that this would be like a character moment. So it just comes out of nowhere, and I'm sorry. I'm like, what is your deal? Like, dude, this is just happening now, I guess?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that scene just came from, let's be blunt, they just ripped that entire scene off from Sonic.
It had to be like a checklist thing. Well, it was like, we want this scene in, we don't know how, just throw it in there, and it'll be probably felt by the audience, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah,
I legitimately, when it happened, I legitimately was like, oh, wait, was Mario supposed to be a rival to Donkey Kong? Was that a thing in the movie? Like, I legitimately just thought, like, oh, Donkey Kong's just like a boss we fight, and then he's on our team.
Yeah.
And so when they were like in the fish and like talking, like, man, you're a jerk. It's like, nah, you're a jerk. Oh, but my dad's a jerk. Oh, me too, man. And then off screen, they figure out how to get out of the fish. I was like, wait, was I supposed to see these two as like parallels? Wait, what? And then, and then it's another example of the movie just doing the bare minimum, because you have Donkey Kong being like, oh man, my dad doesn't like me. All right, then they escape. He saves his dad the very next time we see him. And he's like, I'm proud of you, son. All right, we solved that. His story's done. We did it.
Except 2 problems. One, he never had any issues with his dad. The whole thing that we end up getting introduced to Cranky Kong is that he's actively proud of his son. We never get any moments of him going like, my son is just arbitrary, this kind of shit. No, he's always been proud of him. So the
only thing that I think is supposed to be a hint towards this character arc, with quotations, is the singular scene where Cranky Kong says, enough with the showboating. And I think that's literally it. I think that's literally it.
I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I don't give a shit if the character has a character arc or any of these things. Just why are all these characters so boring? Like, just like boring. And again, Bowser is as funny as a side character in a good movie. He's not even that funny. The funniest character to me was the fucking Galaxy Star, who was, because that's just my kind of humor. I just love that was the cute thing, being like, they're literally about to die, they get saved, and he's like, ah, boo, lame. And I'm like, I'm with you, Star. Let me die too. Like, this is great. Like, get me out of the movie. So,
Boy, I wish I had your mindset while I was watching it.
Yeah.
I was with you, Love. I was kind of worried that they were just going to turn Princess Peach into a one-dimensional, toxic kind of girl boss character.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the movie, she was just so boring.
Yeah, she was.
She was just played so like weirdly straight that it became offensive in a weird way. And even though there are cute moments between her and Mario, I think her personality is so boring that I just can't like her. I was kind of hoping...
Can you name me one, Derp? Because I can't remember any.
there's the scene where they talk about putting a turtle, and that comes back around at the end of the film, where they turn Bowser small. I want to complain about the small Bowser.
Thank you. That is actually that is a good point. Thank you. that is one. They get one.
Ideally, I think my interpretation of Peach, if they were to give her like a characterization, unfortunately, I don't think this will translate to KrazyElf or IanWaffles, but I think making Princess Peach like Haru from Persona would have been so good. Yeah, right, Love?
Yes, that would have actually been better. Okay, to put this in perspective, the whole idea about Haru in Persona 5 is that she is meant to be kind of a rich girl. She is a rich girl, but she's not snooty. She's just she's nice, she's sweet, she's kind, really she's really not proper in a sense. But she has a real crazy side to her that comes out when she gets to become a Phantom Thief, where even one like her whole thing is like she gets to swing an axe, she has a grenade launcher, she's like, I love seeing shadows run away in fear from us. So that works. That weird dichotomy between her just works, and it's like, yes, she's like this sweet, it's like she's this sweet girl, but she's also kind of action crazy, but she knows how to throw down in a fight. And that would have been so much better. But this version of Peach is just dull as hell. The worst part is that there was clearly some scenes that they were trying to seem like there was supposed to be some romantic tension between Mario and Peach, even to the point of like Donkey Kong was trying to insult Mario about it. But there's like nothing between these two. There's I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. Bowser and Luigi had more romantic chemistry in that one scene than these two had the entire movie.
Oh man, listen, if you count this movie as like cold pizza left over from yesterday, that one scene would be like the one slice that hot straight out of the oven, but it would be such a tiny slice because it's just one scene in the entire movie.
Yeah. And let's just shift over to Bowser real quick. So
Yeah.
Bowser, they're trying to do two different things with him. On one hand, they want him to be the villain. They want him to be the bad guy. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna take over this entire world and have Peach at my side and do all this kind of stuff. But on the other hand, they want him to be Poe. They want him to be silly. They want him to be goofy, and they want him to have like a little quirky moments, like when he's trying to like flirt with Peach, when he's sometimes interacting with his men, all that stuff. But the problem is they don't really know how to. Huh?
Is it wrong of me to have wanted like a flashback of like what is Bowser's deal in this film? Like why is Bowser bad? Like
no,
I think is that no, like
I wouldn't even be against that on principle. The problem here is I don't think anyone on the staff really knows why he's bad, because that's the thing I found so weird is that they were trying to do these two elements, but
like I wanted to know where Bowser came from and how like he even knew about Peach and I wanted like an actual like origin story to Bowser, his evil kingdom. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I could actually be invested in, we got to actually stop this guy beyond he's the bad guy from the game, you know, that guy.
Yeah.
Like I wanted a reason to be invested in him in this like continuity, if you get my thing.
No, I get what you're talking about. I don't think that necessarily needed a backstory per se, but we need at least to get some type of idea about like what he's supposed to be a villain for, not only in terms of to have a better understanding of his character, but also to make sure that he functions properly as an antagonist here, especially because he doesn't become an actual antagonistic threat until the last third, because for most of the film, he's just kind of in the background.
At least in like
it's like you don't need a backstory. Because what Lava's saying is you just need a reason to care, and there's many ways you can do that. And here would be an easy one: make him a parallel to Mario in some way. So how about instead of Mario just wanting like the town, his family to like him in general, his shitty family, for in one scene. How about the idea is like he's a person who wants to do like good for people, like he's just like a generally nice guy, and he wants to be a plumber because he's like that's a job that nobody wants to do, but I want to do it. I want to do the grunt work, and then maybe you could have this little thing of like in his little town they have like some award for like most helpful citizen or whatever, and like he kind of wants that not to prove like he's a good person, but to like prove that like being a plumber or doing this kind of job is worth something, and then you have Bowser wants the star, like the invincibility star, because it will turn him into something desirable for Peach. It's this all-powerful item, and so therefore you have a parallel between the two, and Mario learns that he doesn't need that star to have self-worth, and by the end of the movie he gets the actual magical star, which he doesn't want because it's part of this grand destiny he doesn't want to have to do to like fight Bowser or whatever. And then he does take it on along with his brother, who we could tie into this idea of like, what makes you special is that you have inspired Luigi, and he's the scaredy cat guy, but then he could do something in the film that would show that because of the way Mario acts, even though he thinks he's a loser and that he needs this validation, that Luigi is actually what gives him this validation. And then that ties into Princess Peach, who she was actually saved as a baby by these toad creatures, and she feels like, well, why did these toad creatures take care of me? Like, I'm just some random little girl. They made me their princess, so I kind of owe them. And then she feels this responsibility, but then she realizes that, they actually want to fight alongside me because they love me just as much as I love them and care about them. And then bing, bang, boom, it all ties together. Get the fuck out of here, Donkey Kong, and we have a movie. Like, it's not hard. Like,
no.
I came up with that literally off the top of my head. So I don't know what the problem is.
The weird part is like this movie is like, it really feels like it was like 5 different drafts, and they never really came down and tried to make sure like there was a cohesive idea that flowed all the way through, especially at least
this movie feels
Mario's character arc.
And this movie feels like it's trying to
hold on, let Lev finish because we've interrupted him a few times.
No, sorry, I've got so much to say on this movie.
Yeah, go ahead, Lev.
All right, one thing okay, so I want to come back to Bowser real quick, because the thing that really was bothering me about him is that they clearly did want to try doing both the villain role as well as also trying to do the comedic bits. The problem is the comedic bits tie way more into his motivation and make more sense for who he is. And the villain elements always just feel like they just tacked it on to remind us, hey, remember, he's the bad guy. Like there's this one scene where they show him singing a song about how much he loves Peach and how much he's trying to get with her. And then when it's one of his men come over and talk to him about Mario, he ends up just slamming the piano keys case down on his fingers, just so like, yeah, so now you'll learn. It's like, learn what? So whenever they try, and that's the weird thing about him being a villain, it always feels like it's just kind of tacked on, or there's no through line about what makes sense for him to be a villain. That's why I think you're looking for a backstory for him, Derp, because you're just trying to figure out what's supposed to be the idea about him being the villain in the first place. Why am I supposed to care that he's the antagonist? What is supposed to be the thing that drives him, other than just he wants that Peach pussy?
Well, and again, that's where you can tie it into Mario. If the idea is that he's wanted Peach all his life. Let's say, you know, turtles just grow faster in this universe or whatever. Let's say he heard of Peaches since he was young, and he's like, man, I want to be cool like her or whatever. I'm gonna amass all this power and be as great as her or whatever. You know, again, I don't know how that would tie necessarily into. Oh yeah, no, it would tie into his villain aspect of his violence. Basically, he lashes out and he wants people to think that he's big and tough and scary. Maybe the reason he's so big is he's eating all these mushrooms that give him, you know, the size advantage or whatever. Like that could, and then that could tie into Mario. It's like a story.
Yeah, but with the Bowser we got right now, it's like it's just evil. I don't say this just because it's Jack Black. If anything, it's probably they wrote Bowser to benefit from Jack Black more. He just comes off like an evil Poe, which you can't really do an evil Poe. So he just comes off incredibly half-baked. And as much as we can kind of joke about how Toad is just kind of tacked onto this film and really doesn't do much, the biggest sin throughout this entire film is that as much as it calls itself the Super Mario Brothers movie, Luigi has no presence in this film. He ends up getting captured really early, like in the first third, and then it's just there for the entire fucking film. They try to pretend like he had a character arc, and now he's like, yeah, now I'm going to be brave, so now I'm alongside you, brother, and we can save and beat the bad guy together. But it's like, I call bullshit, and it just seems like, hey, we need to make sure that this third act has like some type of like climactic moment, and we can do the Kamen Rider kick with these two. And that's it.
Yeah.
Luigi is like has no character in this. They wasted Charlie Day on this.
Yeah, I've watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia like right before this, not in preparation for this, just for fun, and they really did waste Charlie Day on this. It makes me kind of miserable. And that's like the one thing that the OG movie definitely has over this is that it's actually about the Mario Brothers.
No, I'm gonna take that a step further because that's actually the thing I wanted to try to shift over to. So I always heard about this film just being like, oh, this is awful, this is worse, this is one of the reasons why we haven't had a good video game film until like Sonic or whatever. And then I was like, okay, since this movie was coming, I was like, hey, let's go ahead and try watching this film and see what this is. Is this movie brand accurate? Barely.
Not really.
Is it but it is a good movie on everything else. And to be quite honest, I would rather have, even if we could actually swap this around with Sonic, I'd rather have a good movie. I'd rather have a good movie on its own rather than just having something that is technically brand accurate. Especially in this case, because we can complain about the world building for Super Mario Bros. Because for the '93 film, because it doesn't look like the rainbow cartoon fest that the new one has, because it tries to go for this like a noir cyberpunk aesthetic. But on the other hand, they get Mario and Luigi down because they actually have something resembling personalities here that makes sense with even how they're written currently. And they also work off each other and act like actual brothers, even though really Mario's more of his adoptive father, but it still ultimately works here. And their chemistry as brothers is still great. They still work off of everything. And there's a proper through line for everything. Everyone's character motivation works. The world building, as wacky and acid driven as it is, it makes some kind of sense. And the worst sin about this film, about the '93 film, the worst thing about the new film that the '93 film does do properly is that character motivations and story flow work properly. Like this starts all the way at the beginning. Like in both films, Mario and Luigi get isekai'd into the mushroom universe. We'll just call it that. But in the 93 movie, there's an actual through line for why they end up going there. Luigi ends up trying to flirt with Daisy. They end up going into her fossil excavation site. She ends up getting kidnapped by these two clowns. She ends up getting kidnapped by these two clowns who are looking to bring her into the Mushroomverse. Mario and Luigi end up chasing after them. They end up finding the portal and they end up jumping into it in order to try to save her. In the current movie, for some reason, there's just a portal in the middle of there is just a pipe in the middle underground of Brooklyn that just takes them there. We have
a big hole is happening in like Brooklyn. Like there's this flood, which Mario and Luigi decide to investigate. Which, by the way, I find this really funny. They both want to save the day, end up failing, and then decide, yeah, let's leave it. We're not gonna save it. We're gonna just leave it as it is and go. We're gonna, instead of helping out the mess we just inadvertently possibly made worse, let's go down this hole and look at these pipes, man.
and the weird part is they try acting like, oh, this is so weird. It's the fucking sewers underneath Brooklyn. What are you expecting it to be?
The sewers.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of pipes underground. That's what it's supposed to be.
And there's just this random pipe that just explodes at the end of the movie, and for some reason that makes Bowser's island.
We gotta talk about that.
Talk about what?
The climax.
Like we're not gonna go in order like chronological events, are we? Like
no.
This is gonna be splattered all over the place, right?
Yeah, no, just go.
Okay, so Bowser shoots the big bomb, the big bullet bill, and Mario, in his infinite wisdom glory, decides instead of, I don't know, maybe redirecting it to the castle, maybe redirecting it to anywhere else, thinks, oh, I'll just send it to the pipe. There is no reason for this. There's no logical, there's no inner thought monologue. There's no spoken dialogue. He just thinks, oh, the pipe, this place, this is where I came from. And I'm sat here like, why would you want to send the bullet bill to the pipe? A, that if that blows up the pipe, you can't go home. B, if that goes through the pipe, that could potentially cause an explosion inside, and you don't know it's going to shift reality around. What if it goes through, ends up in Brooklyn, and blows up the place?
Honestly, that's kind of what happened, because it still ends up blowing up a good chunk of Brooklyn. Yeah. Like they act like Mario and Luigi are like heroes at the end, but they inadvertently blew up half the place. Could kill hundreds of people at minimum.
They literally brought Bowser and the shit into the world.
And that's another thing. This scene is pretty much the exact same thing that happens in the 93 movie, but the 93 film, that isn't just because of the hero's fuckery. That's literally the villain's plan actually coming to fruition and moving forward. So so that's how they're able to go back into the real world. But here, there's we need to find a way to get Mario and Luigi back into the real world so we can do this whole scene where they end up beating Bowser and saving the day and impress everyone in their hometown. We can't.
Oh, that's why this was made.
Yeah.
But why would you want to impress anyone in Brooklyn? Like this whole movie.
Yeah.
This whole movie, every single character in it just exists to bully the poor brothers. Every single one of them.
Yeah, I saw
every single one who has voice. It's just why would you care about these people?
I know.
I think
exactly.
I think instead of having a logical reason for that to happen, again, Illumination must have had a checklist of events, and they just wrote satisfying narrative end, and they decided, well, we need the Mario family to be happy of Mario, so Mario does a stupid thing that makes no logical sense, that brings this climactic end to happen, so then he can have his family to love him and respect him and shit.
You know why they love him? When they start loving him, they see him glow, and you're like, "Oh my god, that's my boy!" You don't even know what's going on. You old fuck. Yesterday you were throwing mushrooms in his plate, knowing he doesn't like mushrooms.
Yeah. And that's
also, why does he not like mushrooms?
Funny.
The irony of
it's not funny.
For the irony of him using mushrooms as power-ups, that's it. It's really stupid. And to add on to that, that's one of the other problems I have with the film. When I was first watching it and I saw that scene where their previous box was talking shit to them, I was like, oh god, we're doing this bit where it's we need to find a way to make our audience see our characters as sympathetic and underdogs. We can't just do this with our actual characters. We need to have just a random bully come in and mock them. I was like, okay, fine, let's just get through the scene and just move on. But they just kept going. Hey, we got their first job, but they need to get bullied and tortured by their clan's dog. They finally get home, but their family is mocking them for starting a plumbing business, which I'm calling so much bullshit on, because that is the scene I knew that this is written by someone who has never done anything outside of Hollywood, because they were like, oh, you're trying to start a plumbing business? That's way too risky. Why are you trying to drag your It's a fucking plumbing business. That's like one of the safest things you can go into as a new business. This isn't someone who's trying to jump off to be an actor in Hollywood. That's a safe thing to do. So I have no idea.
Or an artist.
Huh?
Yeah, or an artist. My family didn't give me as much bullshit when I was saying because I make money with this, right?
Yeah.
Even they were nicer to me, and I can't do it.
Right. And it's like the scene only exists here to just again have another scene where these two are getting bullied on by the rest of the world, and that just keeps going. Like every fucking character in the series at some point has to bully and mock them in some way. If like Peach ends up doing this, Bowser ends up doing this, Toad ends up doing. I think Toad does this at one point. This is Donkey Kong's whole role, even when it doesn't make any fucking sense. Everyone is just here to just bully and belittle these two. And it doesn't make me feel sorry for them. It just makes me hate everyone else because, and that's one of the another sad thing about this film is that Mario and Luigi don't really have that strong of characters. Like we kind of already listed this before, but it's like they're just kind of there. Like Mario keeps having this whole arc about like, yeah, I need to like not give up about things, but he's never really given up about anything. And they try to pretend like at the end of the film, like he's almost about to give up because he's just been bullied and beat up by everyone, but he still doesn't. It's like, guys, this isn't a fucking character. Like, guys, this isn't a fucking character arc. He's never struggled with giving up before.
And that's not even the first time he's been beaten up. Remember his fight with Donkey Kong before he found that cat fat power up?
Yeah.
Donkey Kong almost killed him. Actually, Mario should have died a couple of times during that fight.
Yeah.
But then again, if Luigi can survive being like 10 centimeters away from lava, I don't think anything can kill these guys. They don't really need power-ups in this movie.
Right.
They can survive anything. Tension. Oh boy.
So yeah, the characters are either boring as hell or just awful pieces of shit. The plot is just dragged along because I'm pretty sure someone just had a checklist of either certain events or certain emotional beats that they needed to hit and never really thought about how they're supposed to work. And as much as this might be brand accurate, it's just kind of as much as the aesthetic is brand accurate, it doesn't make any fucking sense, and they don't do a good job of adapting mechanics into the universe properly. So I'm just like, I don't really get like what was even the point of this other than just, hey, let's try and make it another Mario movie. And it's like, no.
Like this movie feels also just like really like autopilot-y, where it just feels like, well, we can't spend any time on fleshing this out or developing the setting or characters, so we need to get to the next scene, character moment, or set piece. So it just keeps moving on, and it feels like they just questions arise. Like again, power block rant moment. Like, okay, why does Bowser know that the star location is in the Ice Kingdom, and why is it in this one specific power-up block? And how does he know that? Like,
oh yeah, no, Bowser gets that all the fucking time. Like he keeps getting updated over and over again about what Mario and Peach are doing.
Like,
I never explain how that works.
Like I wouldn't mind if they just like said, oh, the power magic, like I have a device that sends the location of the star. Like I was kind of
like
hoping,
a magic mirror. Fucking show me the thing.
I was kind of hoping like the trailer was some out of touch executive at like Illumination that thought the shiny stars from the Mario Galaxy game and the Sunshine game. You know, the ones you got to collect to.
That's Super Mario. So, that's like the Super Mario 64. Sunshine that has a completed Sunshine. They use the shine stars.
Yes, that those stars. I was kind of hoping they were like really out of touch, and they thought the collection stars were like what Bowser was trying to grab, and they used the wrong model. But no, it's just this one specific block gives me the power up, and I'm like, why isn't the power up in other blocks? Why is this the one? Like, and why do you need only one? Like, can you, if you can hold on to this and move around, why don't stockpile it, mass produce it? You know,
Yeah,
I ask questions. I want, because they don't give me lore. I want lore.
Derp, you're not the only one asking questions. Remember that fucking field of fire flowers?
But yeah, exactly. But like,
I'm
okay,
looking
so
at this field like, Peach, why do you need the Donkey Kong fucking army? Just army your toads. Like, bring them
And
here, let them all grab a flower.
They
and
do
just
nothing, by the way. That whole thing was for nothing.
Yeah.
But like,
Peach kind of tells her backstory in there in a couple of sentences. That's it.
I mean, the Kong grabbing the Kong army, like they don't do anything in the end; they just get captured. But
oh yeah, that's another dumb part. Like the second, like even after they all get captured, and Peach ends up getting captured too. I mean, she gets an ice flower and just wrecks everything. So it's like, why do we need to go through this shit in the first place if you just needed one flower to just take all of them down?
But like moving back to the what I was saying about the autopilot thing, like Mario, when he ends up on the other side, instead of immediately like saying, "Hey, what if I like, what can I go back in the pipe? Can I maybe end up going where Luigi went?" He just forgets about the pipe until the final scene for some reason, and he doesn't bring it up to like Toad, which I feel like should be a natural question, like, "Hey, I came out of the pipe, but what was that? Have you been through it? Have you been through Brooklyn? You haven't heard of it? What?" Like, he doesn't bring that up, and it feels like quite a natural question to ask, but because the plot needs to get to the next plot scene, it's like, "I'm Toad, and I will help you because I am nice, and we gotta go to the castle because Peach is there, and you need to meet Peach so you can continue the plot. So let's go." And they both just go, and I'm like, why? Why are you just nice?
They make a fantastic joke about the princess in another castle.
And why
was
you
hilarious,
conveniently here? Like Toad needs to be here for the next scene to occur. So he is the tutorial character that needs the player character to get the ball rolling. So Toad is just conveniently in the spawn area of the world. And it just feels that this movie's on autopilot, and it just kind of sucks for that. Because I want, is it so much to ask that I just want to care about everything? You know, like I want to get emotionally invested, and I want to care because I know the Mario series is a lot. Again, looping back to the conversation we had at the start, that it is usually mainly safe, but this isn't a storytelling medium. It shouldn't have an excuse, I think. Like I don't need this to be like it's not an RPG, so it's not going to be like so many hours long, but like it's a storytelling medium. It's a movie. I feel like I should care, but I it's so hard to care.
Yeah.
Oh,
this movie feels really dry.
It's
like
underwritten.
Soulless.
Underwritten, I think is a word.
Yeah, no, you're both correct. Oh, Waffles, you have anything else to add?
Yeah,
nah, I've just been enjoying the rants. They're fun. No, I mean, I basically that's the thing is like I said everything I wanted to say about the movie because I just feel like it's that. I couldn't care less about how the world building works. You're getting all these explanations. If the characters were likable at all or interesting, I would have been able to forgive it all, or not even forgive it. I just would have been able to be like, oh, okay, this is just like the fun aesthetic part. But the characters are just so boring. Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about the whole movie. It is just dreadfully boring, and I will never want to watch it again. The end.
Yeah, same. It's way too mean-spirited for me. I'd say.
Same. Oh, I will say this. This is one thing I did. There's one thing I did gain from watching this film. It helped me to understand why I hate redemption arcs. I don't have a problem with the idea of a villain understanding what they did was what they're doing is wrong, trying to make up for what they did, and ultimately keeping their nose clean. I actually wouldn't mind seeing that in a film as a good subversion for like a red herring villain. The reason my problem with redemption arcs is usually when it's more about the hero just spending their entire time trying to become the therapist for the villain while the villain is trying to destroy the entire world. It's like, bro, they clearly don't want to save the planet right now. take them down. If you want to be their therapist, do that afterwards. I bring this up here because I'm just like, especially with all like the tacked on scenes that they do with Bowser, I would not have minded if this movie ended with Bowser just going like, oh, I probably shouldn't have just tried to like destroy the whole planet. Maybe I saw destroy the whole planet just to try to get some peach pussy. Sorry about that, guys, and just like move on from that. I'm not saying they had to do that or that would have made the movie better, but honestly, I just say that because I'm like, this Bowser doesn't hit properly as a villain for what they're trying to go for. Like they end up succeeding a lot better trying to make him cute, and like I do agree with Waffles. In any other series, in any other movie, he would be like a funny side villain. But here, he's just like, but as a funny side villain, those who are usually like barely villains in the first place, he doesn't really hit properly as like someone who should be like the big bad of the series. He feels like he should just be like the cartoon villain who's basically just like a step away from being who's a step away from being a good guy, like Team Rocket from Pokemon.
And I wonder if they tried to compensate for that, because this was a surprise when I was watching it when I saw the movie. They use words like kill and die, and they come out of Bowser's mouth, and I will admit it was cool. I kind of went, ooh, you said whoa, yeah, that's kind of edgy. That's cool. But like, I wonder if that's a compensation effort for how goofy he is, you know? Like they want you to be intimidated, so he's going to use words like kill and die. You think?
No, it is. That's what I was talking about before. Like when he's constantly like either hitting or punishing his underlings, or when he ends up ripping out Luigi's mustache a little bit, or doing stuff like that. It never really feels like none of those actions that he does as a villain seem to be consistent around the idea of trying to around like if someone was actually like evil, they would end up doing all these actions. It really feels like, hey, we have this goofy character, but we need to keep reminding the audience that they're the bad guy. So we're just gonna have them do random bad things so people don't get confused with the idea that they're supposed to be villains or not. That get confused and forget that he's supposed to be a bad guy.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they were trying to do, like compensate. But I think the reason why it doesn't hit well, because they overshoot it all the time. Like, yeah, 1 second he would be playing on the piano, and then he would crush this guy's fingers on like with this thing. Like, why would you do this? Like, you can be evil, you can I don't know, slap him across the room or something like that. But like, this is just, or on the wedding, why does he need to sacrifice all the prisoners?
He doesn't.
Like,
he doesn't.
Like burn them in lava. Like, why do you need to do this? You don't need to do this. You never explain why you need to do this.
That was weird.
Well, and I think all that stuff could work if it was just funny, because like that's the basis of most absurdist comedy is like, why would they do that? It's like, what do you mean? Why would I do that? Because it's fun, you know, something like that. But they don't really play it in. They like, that's what I mean when I say the movie's bland. It's just like, oh, he crushes his fingers because he's like a bad guy or something. You know,
he shoots from being goofy straight to edgy.
He's gonna kill all the prisoners because.
No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if they made his character where he is supposed to be this insane, crazy person, this insane, crazy turtle who just does all this absurd shit, and you can't follow what his trail of logic is supposed to be, then yeah, that would make sense. But they don't. All the goofy scenes tie in together. He's supposed to be this oblivious dork who has a crush on a girl, but he doesn't understand how flirting works. And that through line all makes sense. But then but all of his villain scenes just kind of seem like tacked on and don't have a clear through line about how he's supposed to be an antagonist, other than just, we need to remind the audience that he's an antagonist. So I agree with you that he is
down just a little.
Huh?
If they toned the villain scenes just a little, you know, just like enough not to kill and die words, like just something, I don't know, like my least favorite word, like just, I'm going to destroy you, like this kind of stuff, not kill you, like something like this, because it goes from 0 to 100 like really fast.
Yeah, so
it's jarring. It doesn't sit well together.
So Mario and Luigi are really boring ass protagonists, and don't really have clear character arcs. As Mario always never gives up, so
he never gives up.
Perform doesn't make sense. Luigi is a coward, but he doesn't do anything to support or show him actually growing from this. until like the last 5 minutes of the film. So
And then he stops being a coward and becomes a show off.
I
Yeah.
heard I've watched a few like reviews from different people just to get an idea of like what the different people like think on this movie, and one of them suggested like a better idea for Luigi where like he tries to basically like do like a big prison escape as like a character arc where he grows into his own to like save the
Oh
day
my
while
God.
Mario is off doing stuff. I
Yeah,
kind of
that'd be
wish
so
they
cool.
did that.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Then they both meet together at the castle. And it's like Mario, Luigi, I'm an escaping. It's like I came for you. And then they both fight Bowser together, or something. I wish that happened.
Yeah, but Mario in this movie, I mean, Luigi, he's the princess of the movie.
Yes.
He's
He
the one
is.
who's in the castle. You gotta save him. And that's all he's got.
Oh,
This is sad.
Well,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about this too, as far as like going all out with like with ideas, like the "your princess is in another castle" joke. Like maybe if instead, if they were just like, sorry Mario, like our princess is in a, like, instead of being like smug about it, if they were like, oh, we don't know who this guy is, so it's like well, crap, he looks like he could beat us up or whatever. So what are we gonna say? Sorry, sir, our princess is in another castle, and then he like looks up and it says like Princess Peach's castle. It's like, oh, that's a different Princess Peach, and they like try to cover it up. But then like what they used to cover up is like banners that say like the Kingdom of Princess Peach, and then they like set those on fire, and then like that accidentally sets off fireworks that say like welcome to the Mushroom Kingdom of Princess Peach. You're like, shit, like it just keeps escalating or something.
Damn, are you a writer by any chance?
Who, me?
that's good.
Yeah.
No, I just think more than nothing. That's how good of a writer I am. I speak word and make sentence. Yeah. But just I don't know. This is just very basic writing stuff. Just if you have a joke like that, the bare minimum is to say the line. So how about you actually make it a joke and like just build upon it. Just make it funny. So I don't know. But yeah, that's the whole movie in a nutshell for me, is they just did the bare minimum. Who knows if there was like executive meddling, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't care how much anyone cared or didn't care about making a movie. The movie itself is boring. It's bland. And most people who love the movie, I kind of highly doubt it's going to stick with them, because why would you ever go back and watch anything in this movie when you could just play it? You know?
Yeah.
There's nothing this movie can give you that you can't experience tenfold from the games. And from what I know about people who really love something like the RPG games or Mario Galaxy, we'll do Mario Galaxy because that one has like what people love about Mario Galaxy is that it has atmosphere. It has vibes, baby. And so what people really love about that is, even though Mario doesn't say a word, he doesn't do all these things, there is a recurring like the literal setup of the show or of the game is that you're going to like this beautiful star event where like shooting stars are flying onto the Mushroom Kingdom, and you run past all the toads, and the way Mario runs, he's got his hands off to the side. He's so excited to go see Princess Peach. And then fucking Bowser shows up and he's like, we're going to space, bitch. And he kidnaps everybody. And then Mario goes on a big, cool adventure, and the music's gorgeous and all that stuff. And then there's this through line of Princess Daisy, and she loves the Lumas and all these different things. It's not very complicated at all, but in its simplicity, it really goes all out to make Bowser. He's giant. You literally fight him on the star, and there's like this orchestral theme playing, and that tells you more about Bowser and makes you feel like he's a threat in a way that's not like over the top or cringy or whatever. In a way that this movie just isn't really interested in doing, because it's just doing the bare minimum. So that's kind of my. I don't know if we're at the end of the video, but that's my final thoughts.
I honestly think that would count.
Yeah.
Speaking
Could I,
Really much to say.
Could I go through a list of notes as like I guess like the final segment before we get to the closing segment? Because I have a few notes here, and I'm actually curious as to some of your thoughts on some of these questions that I kind of thought of during the thing.
All right, sure.
So I'll try my best to not use everyone. I'll try and be selective so we can get to the finishing portion. But do you think Shigeru Miyamoto prevented Toadstool from existing in this? Because he's got like a whole bias against like unique characters for like the Toad people, right? So what are your thoughts?
Uh,
Because they used the blue guy with just glasses. Do you think Illumination would have put Toadstool in if it was for like Shigeru's bias? I guess.
wait.
I mean, I don't really know. All I would say is that I think the movie has enough characters. Like, I mean, literally look at the way they treated Diddy Kong, where it's just like, Diddy Kong, shut the fuck up, and he's like, oh,
I
sorry.
feel bad.
There you go. That's Diddy Kong. So.
And while we're talking about the Kongs, there was no Blister Kong or Coconut Factory mentioned. 0 out of 10. Awful film. I hated it. How dare they do Blister Kong, the best Mario cinematic the franchise verse character like that?
Start a petition for a spin-off.
I wanted him in Smash. He didn't get in Smash. I'm livid.
Actually, this is something I meant to ask you before. Since Derp, I knew you watched the Donkey Kong show. Tell me this: how accurate or inaccurate is Donkey Kong's personality in comparison to the show?
Well, he's not a jerk. He's more of a naive, gentle giant, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to bad guys, he's like banana slammer, and then he kicks their butt. He's actually a really nice dude in the thing. The only time he's like mean is when he's just being an idiot at something. But most often than not, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah, like if there's like probably like an episodic plot where it's like this week Donkey Kong gets in over his head and thinks he's really cool.
Yeah, that's like about it. In terms of being mean. So that's that. Yeah, I didn't like Donkey Kong in this. So just an observation, nitpick, I suppose. How does anybody in the world of the mushroom verse know of the word human? Because they Bowser says like, and where did this human come from? And Kamek says human, and it's like, I'm sorry, does just Peach know what she is and just shared that word with everyone?
Maybe they just got lucky and they just like called her, like they saw her and they're like, well, you're unique. I guess we'll call you human. And she's like, hey, that's what they called me back home anyway, so we're good. And I remember that as a baby. So.
I think that's just a little oversight in the script because we know we're humans. People like viewers know they're humans. So Peach is human. Mario apparently also is a human.
So this befuddled me, and I'm gonna hope you guys have an answer because if you guys don't, this is just like a plot hole, or just a really stupid contrivance, I guess.
Oh, go.
How did Bowser know that the Kongs were coming?
Good question. They never show it.
I was talking about this earlier. Bowser knows about so much shit that happens in this film and they never explain why. Like they end up telling him that Mario is there. They end up talking about how Mario is heading down this direction. They end up talking about how close he's getting to Peach, and they end up talking about how they end up going to the Kongs and how they are now going to be taking the secret path in order to get there. He knows so much shit that ends up happening in this film.
Yeah, and we never see a spy or maybe like a magical item that he uses to see all that. He just knows everything.
They should have done like a twist where it's like, oh, Bowser's being controlled by a higher villain, and the higher villain knows all this stuff, and Bowser's not actually evil. He's just being controlled, and then we get a sappy scene or whatever. I don't know. Why is Spiny Blue Shell on the poster? The other one.
I know. This guy.
Like, why is he on the poster?
We gotta respect our bros who commit suicide for their goals.
I don't even think he has a name. I'm just calling him Spiny Blue Shell because that's what his power-up use is.
And that's all he does. Yeah. He blows up the Rainbow Road. That's it. Actually, yeah. Why does Bowser, like, instead of actually, getting rid of the Rainbow Road because he knows it's a secret path, he decides to raise the monkeys on it? Like, you can just literally set up a bomb so like they would just pop out of existence. And there you go, no army, but he chose to fight them on it instead. Just a strategy thing.
Yeah.
Like if he really wanted to get rid of them.
But honestly, besides just going into every single individual scene and being like, this doesn't work because of this valid reason. I'm gonna get into the end here, and there's not really too much to note without just wasting everyone's time. So the last thing I have that I find funny is that Mario and Luigi have been wearing plumber suits since they were literal babies.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Actually,
That's
no.
something.
I can explain why they did that. That's the other criticism I have toward this movie. Funny I call it that, is because as much as it tries to be brand accurate, it overcompensates, and everything in this game has to be a fucking reference to something. Like, to tie this back into one of our other videos, Waffles a while ago messaged me saying that this is the IDW of Mario, in the sense that it needs to just make references and show how much it knows about the games over anything else. And the reason I bring this up towards the baby models is because that's meant to be a reference to like
Yoshi's Island.
where they're Yoshi's Island, and I think there were babies and other things. But whenever that they're babies, that's what their designs look like. So they had to bring that there.
And actually, while we're on topic of that, how do you guys feel about the possible retcon of them? You know, in the Yoshi's Island, the backstory is that baby Mario was carried by a stalk and landed on Yoshi.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about, I guess, the new origin story?
I mean, it just makes sense to a certain extent, instead of him kind of coming off like a weird Moses parallel or something.
This is assuming they don't retcon it in a potential sequel, like Illumination did with Despicable Me, where they retconned the minions to be, instead of creations of Gru, ancient beings from cellular states of the old ages.
At least that has a really good joke in it that's very subtle, which is that they were trapped. I think that the idea was they were frozen in time or trapped underground during the time of World War II. That way we don't have to deal with the fact that the minions would have worked for Hitler canonically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very funny.
Imagine if they had the balls to do that.
Yeah, just like a singular scene where it's like, where were you in 1940? And it's like, banana. But yeah, that's honestly about it. I don't want to like go in through every single scene meticulously, because I think we've just about covered everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
So
one.
I guess.
What's
thing.
up?
Oh.
The use of popular music in this movie, I hate it.
Yeah.
I cannot even describe how much. Like, it's.
I liked Holding Out for a Hero. That's the exception though. The rest of it could go.
Oh man, that one I hate the most, because that Shrek 2 used that song. And like,
you don't disrespect the goat.
No.
Yeah, you don't do that. It's like, this movie doesn't deserve these songs.
No, it doesn't.
You're not peak cringe. You're just normal cringe.
And like the way they use it, like they just cue the music and the characters don't talk. It's just like, we're just watching a music video now. Nothing happens. Just a montage or something.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It just makes me like listen to this music and be like, wait, I wish I was doing something better. Maybe I just go listen to some AC/DC or something. Why am I watching this?
One funny cinema experience I had while I was watching the film with my mother and sister. As the credits were rolling, we didn't get to the scene yet, but we were talking about like, oh, what do you think will be in the final credits stinger? And they were like pitching ideas, and I'm like, I'm hoping Wario's there, because that'd be cool. And one of them was like, it was my mom. Mom was like, where's the dinosaur? And then the following scene came, Yoshi's egg. Fun fact, someone pointed this out on Twitter, you don't see a single green Yoshi in the pack in that one montage. So that's neat, I guess. Not really excited for the Yoshi movie, but that's something. What are your guys' thoughts?
I've not seen it. I've not seen
the
scene.
You didn't see the Yoshi scene?
No,
you only see the egg. It is literally just the egg. It's in the sewers, and then you see it crack, and it just cuts to black. It's not even that exciting. it's kind of just really anticlimactic. Like I guess most people are a little bit sick of the Marvelification of franchises, but
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
have like a credit stinger, I feel like you usually expect something kind of epic, but it was just kind of meh.
Yeah, you expect something like Shadow the Hedgehog appearing on the screen, and
And it has
the
this cinematic
entire
flair
theater
with
fucking
the
explodes.
music and the dialogue, doesn't it? And it makes it so cool. And yeah, trust me, guys. Like, you don't need to search it up when it eventually comes on YouTube. Like, it's just sad. It's just the egg.
All right. For my honestly, after I saw that ending where they were like just after spending a good chunk of the third of the first of the film talking about how much they want to impress Brooklyn, want to impress and show like, yeah, we are here for Brooklyn. We can show how much we can help and support Brooklyn. And then the end of the film shows them living in Mushroom Kingdom for some fucking reason. I was just done. That's the reason why I didn't see it. So
Yeah.
I just didn't. I was just done with the film at that point. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Remember how at the beginning, there was a flooding incident on the
Uh-huh.
street?
Yeah.
Like nobody mentions it after they've gone to the Mushroom Kingdom.
There's not even a sign that a flooding occurred. It's completely clean. It's so dumb. Don't question it, guys.
No.
It's just for babies. Why should we ask for a good, well-written plot? It's Mario. Just eat it. It's
Well, no,
good.
we have a good, well-written plot.
700 million, guys. It's good. Don't
movie.
criticize it.
It's this movie. Seriously, just go watch Super Mario Bros. Not the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Fuck the current one. Watch
and
this
read
one.
read the webcomic. Unfortunately, it's on indefinite hiatus. But if you have a few questions, there's two little things that happen in the webcomic sequel. And it's official, by the way. It's like two different writers or directors that are worked on it. Give it a read. You might find it a little bit interesting, but it's only like 60 chapters long. 68 pages long, and it's on like chapter 4. The last page was like 2014, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's gonna get updated anytime soon, unfortunately. But it's an interesting look at what a sequel could have been.
Yeah. Or really, watch this movie. It's
Yeah.
just don't think about it as it's a Mario movie, like a game adaptation. It's just a really tight, nice put together movie.
Mm-hmm.
Closing thoughts?
I think that was closing thoughts.
Yeah. Critics score on Metacritic 55%, 54. Absolutely justified.
Yeah. And ignore all the people who are whining about this either being woke or not woke. Fuck, they're idiots. This movie, this movie is just garbage. Do not buy the hype about this being like brand accurate. That's the only thing it has going for it. Fuck this movie.
I just want to say though, because I know I've ranted a lot. Even though I am a Sonic fan now, I still do hold a soft spot in my heart for Mario. I can't bring myself to fully hate this film anyway. I just it hurts me so much with all of its issues. I just want to take a moment to say, I am kind of happy that while I did say a few things before about how mostly fans are desperately trying to like cope, like, oh, it's for babies and don't criticize it. Thankfully, there are Mario fans. Like one reviewer video I did watch was Lauren Rogers. The Mario movie was a beautiful mess. Who is a big Mario fan, and she herself is like, she quoted some like fan basically saying like, why should you expect emotional moments in a Mario movie? Like it's Mario, and she's like, I wanted that out of my Mario movie, and while she does at the end of the video still kind of say, I loved it regardless, despite its flaws, I am happy that there are some Mario fans out there that are willing to still criticize and poke holes in a very admittedly flawed film.
That's putting it nicely.
And I do hope that most fans will not just praise it because it looks like brand. Like, I do hope that is what happens. And as a Sonic fan, I really hope that the future of the Sonic films, they take the music of like that is the one thing that I will undeniably praise is the original soundtrack, not the Hollywood things, the popular tracks hot list. The
Jukebox musical,
original
yeah.
score. I
Uh-huh.
really hope that's the one thing that the Sonic movies take from this, because that is one thing this movie does excel at. And
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
while I had a lot of issues with this film, I can't bring myself to like it. And the more I think about it, the more it just irks me. So I think my score has to be like maybe between a 2 and a 4. It keeps going around because I just can't really stick to a number. So probably a 3. There's my ranking.
Okay. Well, I guess it is true what they say. Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
I had to throw that in there because
Yeah.
Like people will say that the people that are working on the movies, the Sonic movies, don't care about the IP. That's a bold-faced lie. Jeff Fowler worked on Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06, and while they aren't the most praised games, the fact of the matter is Jeff had a actual assistant role in those properties. He's had experience with Sonic in the past, and when shit hit the fan with the 2019 trailer with the Chernobyl rat design, Jeff, Pat Casey and Josh Miller, whoever probably was around, they all decided to delay the film probably to Paramount, and we got Tyson Hester redesign Sonic. They do care, and if you don't believe that the people who worked on the Sonic films care, look at Paramount's Halo series. That is a tragedy. So like, I'm just saying, if when Jeff Fowler is gone, and then Pat Casey and Josh Miller are like out of the writing room, then you should be worried about the Sonic films, because those guys, they do care about the IP. And even if they've done things that maybe you aren't too fond of, with like the inclusion of human characters and whatnot, they do care, and they are very passionate about it. And I hope that just because one thing doesn't look like the game canon, that isn't lost on people, that people still do see that there are people that care. I'm sorry if I went on a little bit of a little tangent there, but I feel like it needed to be said.
Yeah, very good.
Alrighty. Well, there you go.
That does cover.
Is it plug our shit time?
Yeah, it's plug our shit time. Waffles, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I'm IanWaffles. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube by the same name. And yeah, thanks for having me as always, Lav.
No problem. KrazyElf?
Well, I'm KrazyElf. You can find me on Twitter if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for bringing me here today.
No problem. Derp?
I am Derpaduh. I have a Twitter which is @2Derpaduh, and I don't have anything to plug. So what about you?
First off, you do have something to plug. It's called a YouTube channel. That's also Derpaduh. Plug yourself, man.
I have videos I'm working on, but they're probably not going to be out for weeks. But I will say the last video I made was a little bit of a compilation of Lavia Ray's Sonic Frontiers video. I don't think it'll be too interesting to Lavia Ray's viewers if they've already seen the video, but it might be.
Yes, it would. Dude, stop undercutting yourself. We covered this.
Okay, check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Yeah, I will link that here.
I did visual
ready, as well as in the Sonic Frontiers video. But yeah, go check out his account. He's Derpaduh on YouTube and 2Derpaduh on Twitter. That's how you plug yourself, man. Plug it. And I am Lavia Ray on literally everything. So all right. Thank you guys so much for thank you guys for showing up here. And I hope everyone here listening to this enjoy this video. Go watch this film. Hell, as of this recording, they announced that the Knuckles miniseries is currently being recorded and hopefully will be out in a couple of months. Go watch that. Go watch either one of those over this mess. Over the current 93. Over this bullshit. Don't watch this. Don't watch this shit. This is shit.
Nailed it.
Go watch this. All right. All right. Thank you guys so much and have a good night.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay. And
Awesome. All right.